Carol and her sister Norma in Lower Waterford. The interviewers are Ann Hockridge, Donna Ray, Heath, and Lynn Troy. So Carol, we're delighted you're giving us your story today.
Well, I hope I can.
And we're starting with when you were born and where.
I was born in Woodsville, New Hampshire, in Cottage Hospital, which is not there no more. And the rest of my family was all born at home, but I was born in the hospital.
And when?
In November 3rd, 1932. And I went to grade school with Mrs. Merrill in the first grade, first, second, and third grade, and Mrs. Whitehill in fourth and fifth grade. Then we went to Springfield for a year, and I was shipped back and forth so much after that that I never did finish school. So then finally I was brought back up to Waterford to help my grandmother's sister, May Fitchett, at Rabbit Hill Inn. And that's where the rest of my life has been.
Now, what was Aunt May doing there?
She was my grandmother's sister, and she was the one that was taking care of Mrs. Davies and running the house. Dora Hatfield was the nurse that was taking care of her, but Mrs. Fitchett was, she and her husband had been there for years. So I don't know when they came there and just what all of that was, but...
And Mrs. Davies needed some help at that point? She was
Oh yes. She had to be watched all the time. So when Dora was down sometime with having her lunch or something, you had to go in and sit beside Mrs. Davies. And I'm not sure, but I think Dora had to practically feed her. So, or she had to make sure that she ate what little lunch they had. But no, Mrs. Davies was in no condition to make any decisions for anything. So.
And about what age were you when you started at the...
I was about 18,
Davies
20.
home? 18, 20.
I don't think I was quite 20, but because I think I had my 20th birthday when I was up here. So.
And what were some of your jobs?
Cleaning the house, and I had to help watch Mrs. Davies, but mainly help do housework and run errands for them. So, but when I would have a few minutes off, I used to go across the road and sit on the porch of the church. Now I can't do it.
And why can't you do that?
Because there's no porch.
What happened?
They took it away. They didn't ask my permission. They took it away. So, but no, that was mainly all that when Mrs. Davies, Mr. Carpenter used to take Mrs. Davies for a ride every afternoon. And of course Dora had to go with her, and when Dora was on a day off, I had to go with her too. So we used to take and just go over to into New Hampshire for a ways, and then maybe up into Vermont a ways or something, and then bring her back. We was gone for about an hour each afternoon, so. But no, Mrs. Davies had to have somebody right beside her all the time, so.
And that was on Route 18 when it was not in the same places as it is now, is that correct?
What's that?
When you went for a ride along Route 18 was not...
Oh, yeah. I don't remember whether it was Route 18 or whether it was just a regular town road. I can't remember.
Uh-huh.
So.
And what was it that you liked to do sitting on the porch of the church?
I used to have some books to read or things like that, and just watch the neighbors when they was mowing their lawns, or just watching time go by. I was never brought up and we didn't have things, and so you just did. If you just sat and watched, you could sit and watch the traffic, or you could sit and watch that, and that was no problem. But some kids would have had to have something else to do, but I just put up with what little few things I had.
So did you live in with Mrs. Davies
Oh, yeah.
at the house?
Yeah, I lived up in this, my bedroom was up in this corner.
So as you're
Mrs.
looking
Davies.
at the house, sort of up in the front left
Yeah,
corner.
on the left, on the front,
Okay.
by the front porch, so.
And then her room was,
Way on the other end, towards where there's a garage, a motel now, but it was up in there. The building comes like this, and then it goes back in, and then it goes out, and that was where her room was, because she had windows on both sides, the front and the back of her room.
and so did you get a little bit of time off every day when you could like go over and sit on the front
Yeah.
porch at the church? Or
If
did
there
you-
wasn't something else that
Okay.
somebody needed to do, yes, I would go
Okay.
over and sit down, and I would had like little books and things that I could get, and so, and sometimes I would go with, the library wasn't, it used to be different because it had the books all in the other room, all on high bookshelves, and they were big books, you know, like regular books. Nowadays they're all like little things, but anyway, so I'd get a book to read, and so they gave me something to do, so.
And would you get a day off during the week when you were working?
No, I was mainly up there living with them, so
Okay.
as to
Okay.
help them. I wasn't up there to do work or anything. I was just up there so as to help Aunt May and do whatever Aunt May needed, because as I say, my folks are separated. My mother didn't need me over there, or for some reason, I don't know what the reason, because they were divorced, and my father had my older sister and one other sister for him to take care of. But he worked in Gear Shaper shop down in Springfield, and we was down there for a while, and then he got tired of three of us kids, and so he was putting us off in different places, so that
Okay.
that's why I said when my kids come along, we're going to do it this way, and you're not going to do that, and you're not going to do that, because your father and I are going to stay right together, right until, so,
Okay.
and we did until he's down there now, so.
Down at the Lower Waterford Cemetery.
Right,
Yes.
you better believe it, so.
Now, you mentioned Dora Hatfield,
Mm-hmm.
and you arrived as Doris, so you had...
That's why they didn't gave me my new name. Because as I said, my room was up here and hers was here. And Aunt May Fitchett was downstairs in the kitchen. And she wanted me to do something for her. So she called upstairs, Doris, Doris. Well, Dora went to running, and she got to the foot of the stairs, and Aunt May said, what are you doing here? Will you call me? No, I didn't. I called for Doris. Doris says, this has got to change. This is not going to happen again, she said. So she told me I've got to change my name. And so Aunt May asked me if I could go by my middle name. And I thought, in there. I didn't know it was going to be notified all over town and all over the state, but I'm still right here. You can call me Doris or Carol or Flops, or that's what I was called a good many times, so. But, so whatever anybody wants to call me, as long as I can help them.
Helen asked about a chauffeur named Tug Carpenter
Yeah.
and his wife Beta.
Mm-hmm.
Were they there when you were there?
They're down in Waterford Springs.
Oh, in Waterford Springs. He was, I think she said she
Oh,
wondered
yes,
if he
they
was,
used to live up
Mrs.
in back of the church,
Oh.
back of the motel.
Okay.
Yes, yes, there was the carpenters that lived up there, so, oh, yes. Yeah, he was a very special person in town there for quite a little while, so.
Does the house still exist?
Oh, the house is still there. Yeah, that's one of the old houses and things. It's when I can see still see them old houses, and then I see these towns where none of the old houses are still there. So it makes me feel sad when I can.
Well, do you remember the parsonage? That would be behind the town clerk's office and
The
the library.
parsonage for the church.
That was
I
down
don't
on
remember.
Maple, wasn't it? Across from the Morrisons?
I don't remember that there was a parsonage down there. There was a town, there was a post office, and
Because at the Morrisons' house, right, the post office. Dorothy Morrison had the post office in her house.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But as you go from this road back towards St. J, just at the top of the first little knoll, what now is a white house, used to be a store and a post office and a filling station.
Right.
And then the library was where it is now, but the books wasn't little books anymore. It was the regular size books, and they was in the smaller room off the big room there. And they would had big tall bookshelves, and there was because I had to help clean the library. Oh yes, I remember you had to dust off all of the books, and you had to dust off all of the shelves and dust off everything else in the other room. So
the library was there when you arrived?
oh yes, and it was a library.
And it was called the Davies Memorial
Yeah,
Library?
Davies Memorial Library.
And what then was in the big room where now there are
They
bookshelves?
had they had a desk and they had different places for people to sit to have their meetings and a couple of tables, because that's where the auditors, I believe they used to meet there. And anyway, people that used to need a table to sit at to do their work, they was there, and so. But no, it was a library, and who was it used to live this side of it, and that it was Mrs. Davies. Seems it was one of her family. Used to live in the house this side of it, the big house, not the library, but the big one this side.
The house right next to the library. Yeah. And did Mrs. Davies have children? Did she have?
That's one of them that, see, I don't, that's one of them that used to live, or they was there in the summers maybe, I forgot now what it was, but, I wish I could remember names, but, there was the double house, and then there was that other house this side of it.
Alpart? Dave says there are two names here, Larry Work and something Alpart. Does that ring a bell?
Them sound like they was,
He was in relation to one of
Yeah.
her daughters. She had
Yeah.
two daughters. is that-
yes, yeah. So, but most of them lived off. They didn't live right there. That's why Mrs. Davies, why they had my grandmother's sister. So, but no, I had never met my grandmother's sister until I came up here to live.
Oh. So were you nervous or afraid when you made the move
Oh heck!
to Waterford?
Why would I be nervous? I would just throw here and throw. You can ask her. I lived in Springfield. I lived in Newbury. I lived in Center Haverhill. I lived in Northfield. This was just one more place.
Okay.
So I was just shifted off to one and then another, and
So how long after you came to Lower Waterford then did you meet Joe, who eventually became your husband?
and I probably was here about 6 months or so when I had to. His folks had something to do about a town meeting or something about a town office or something, and they needed to have something done, and so Aunt May told me I could take and go to town meeting that day, because it was in the church, and so I went over to that. And it wasn't too much longer that I forgot now just how it was that I met him, but he was supposed to do something, and then he couldn't do that because So I came into the picture and that was the end of it.
And how long did the two of you date before you got
Oh,
married?
probably 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were working for Mrs. Davies the
Oh,
whole
yes.
time?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
And then after I met him and then after one of the kids was born, I started working for Doc Kimball.
Oh, okay.
So, as assistant town clerk.
Okay.
Now, Dave Morrison referred to Joe as Little Joe.
Oh, yes.
Was
Yeah.
there a Big Joe?
And there was 3 Joes. Joe Sr., Joe, and Joe Jr.
And he was
My husband was Joe Jr.
Junior.
And then I'd have a Joe, so there's another Joe.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know, I forget whether there's a Joe, be it since then or not, but anyway, it's a very popular name for Bonnett.
Uh-huh. Well, then, when did you marry Joe while you were still working with?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, and we lived in this end of the house.
Oh, he lived in there.
This house down here, there was,
Oh,
The Bonnett farmhouse.
yes,
uh-huh.
this house down here. And the barn was not like it is now. It makes me sad to see that barn like that, but anyway, we had 2 rooms in this end. And this is when Arthur Morrison came into the picture.
Now, Arthur is Dave's
father.
Okay.
And he was, apparently, according to Dave, Joe Sr.'s best friend.
Oh yeah, they were all best friends. Oh yes, the Bullocks and the Bonnetts and the Morrisons, they were all good, very close friends. And one day, Arthur came down and was visiting with Joe Sr. in May and June, and my husband was out there visiting with them. And all of a sudden, Arthur lit into Joe's father. Why in the world, you've got 365 acres in this piece of property. Why can't you let your son have 1 acre? We had to have 1 acre in order to subdivide. And what was his father going to say? Here we was with 2 kids and 3 rooms on this end of that house, and that was it. So he said, well, okay. And I don't know, but anyway, they agreed that we could have 1 acre of land. So Arthur Morrison came up and was helping Joe to measure it off. So many feet this way and so many feet this way. Arthur says, you go this way, certain number of feet, and this way, certain number of feet, and you'll have 1.5 acres and your father will never know. And to my knowledge, they never knew. Don't ask me just where, I know where the boundaries are, but I have no idea as to anything more. But that's just one of the fun things that, I call it a fun thing but.
Now, did Little Joe build this house?
Hmm?
Did Little Joe build
Oh
this
yes,
house?
every one of them nails that's in this is what he,
Okay.
and he didn't have an automatic.
Right.
It was
right.
one that you had to,
Yep.
oh yes.
Well, as far as timing goes, Helen says you spent some time in Virginia.
I did,
And
yeah.
when would that have been?
Oh, that, I was evidently down there with my daughter.
Oh, that wasn't when Joe had in the Army or anything like
No.
that? Okay. Navy or whatever.
Oh, yeah, he was in the Navy. Yeah, that was another thing. He wanted to join the Navy, and so he joined the Navy, and that's why he got his things up there. And that was when his father pulled him right back out of the Navy. And so, yeah, I guess that's when I was in Virginia. I was down there when he was stationed on the ship, the George E. Davis ship, so.
And was that after you were married,
Oh,
Carol?
yes.
And did you have any children then when
No.
you moved to Virginia?
No.
Okay.
No, that was before any of the kids were born, so. No, we got back home before then.
Okay.
So, no, that's one of the, and he always wanted his Navy, liked the Navy, and I was very sorry that they let his folks pull him out of the Navy, but they did, and then it wasn't too much longer after that they sold the place, so.
Sold the farm here, or?
They got rid of all the animals, they stopped doing the farming,
Okay.
so.
And what prompted them to sell?
Because Joe built it up here, and so they said if he's gonna be up here, he wasn't, well, his father was getting older and wasn't able to do a lot, so.
So
Okay.
Joe farmed?
My husband?
Yeah.
When he was down here at the farm,
Uh-huh.
so.
And Helen wanted to know, were you involved in any of that, or were you involved in candy making business?
Oh yeah,
And
we
that would be
made.
here? Oh, at the farm.
May went and used to make maple kisses, was it? And pops for the church and for something else to sell. So, oh yes,
Okay.
oh yeah, we used to do maple kisses and maple pops.
So they stayed in the farmhouse even once they had let the animals go and things?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
All right.
that's where the folks died. They were living there when they died, so.
Okay.
But, no, that's why all they did was they moved from there down to that little place down there, so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember them going anywhere else. June was right there with them all the time, so.
And June was Big Joe's mother?
No.
No. Okay.
June was just a lady. She had a sister. Oh, what was her? I can't think of her sister's name. But anyway, their folks was gone and separated, and so she came to live with the folks.
Oh, okay.
And that's all that I ever knew was about it. That
Okay.
she came to live with them and to help May, and because she had no other place to go. So,
Okay.
but and as far as I know, that she was right there until the last day. So.
Now, when you and Joe got married, did you get married at the Lower Waterford Church, or did you go back to Newbury to get married?
In the house down here.
Oh, you got married at the house. Okay.
Right in front of the mirror, the big mirror in the living room.
And did the minister come out to do
Oh,
the
yeah.
wedding? Okay.
Yeah. Hastings, wasn't I think it was.
It probably would have been Reverend Hastings,
Yeah.
Leroy Hastings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, oh yes, we was married in the living room, which became, it was the front living room. But then it became our kitchen when we turned in. When we moved in this end, we went and put our sink in, and that's where we was able to live for a while. And then till Arthur Morrison lit into it. So we was just very thankful we had some good friends. So, but the folks never held it against us. So, but now it looks so sad to see that barn like that is, but. And the house isn't much better, so. Oh well. The blue house is still up and running.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is.
Now you had how many children?
I had 5. Christine, Sheila, Joe, Gordon, Marie. Yeah, that's 5.
That's 5. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Any of them live around here?
Christine, she lives in Lunenburg. And Sheila lives in Virginia. And Gordon is no longer with us. No, Gordon lives in California. And Joe the Third is not with us. He's down there with his dad. And Marie lives in Florida. So they're scattered all over, so. And I just got a phone call the other day from the one in California. So probably by Sunday I'll be hearing from the other
Oh,
ones.
yes.
So
With Mother's Day coming up.
yes. They usually remember me Christmas and Mother's Day. So,
I was thinking about how you moved so much as a child and how important that this place became
Oh, yes.
to you, that this was really your first home,
yes, the first time.
and why you put your roots down so
Yeah.
firmly here.
Yeah. We lived in the house across the brook from where my brother is now. We lived in that house until I was in the 5th grade, and we had Mrs. Merrill for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade teacher, and I was always put in the very front pew desk, and they had to lower the things so that, because you had to have your feet on the floor and you had to have your desk at a certain height, so she did that, and I don't know, then Mrs. Whitehill, I went into her room and they had to do the same thing in there, so that's what I get for. Then I have a brother and sister that are, well, my brother that I see down there, we don't have the same dad, but that's all right, so. But he's about 6 foot tall, so. But the rest of us were, well, Norma's in my height, and so, but, no, I have a lot of memories with them 2 teachers. They were teachers for a long, long time. Then we moved to Center Haverhill, and then we moved to Northfield, then we moved to Springfield, then we moved back to Northfield. That's why I said, when my kids start school, no. Right here until you get out of at least 8th grade.
So when did you go to the town office and work as the assistant town clerk?
About 1952, 1954, something like that. I was way up on the hill up there when Doc Kimball's office was up there.
And that was in her home?
In her home. And there's, maybe I shouldn't say, but I'm going to. Her office in that room was no bigger than this dining room. And the vault was like this side of the table. And it went back to the wall. And when you come in the door, you come in like that, and you go behind the desk, and that's where I was. And there was only room enough for a chair at that end to take and just go out the door to go in the hall. And one day, there was a lady, I'm not giving names, that came in, walking in. She walked in behind there and behind the table, and all the time she was there, she was running. I mean running the lawyers down. I don't remember all the words that she used, but I sat there. I really didn't know what to do because there was a lawyer looking into the records. And I thought, oh no. He just motioned me. He says, we get this all the time, don't worry about it. And I said, well, it's never happened to me, and I hope it never happens again. But it was quite an experience. The town clerk's office was way up on the hill up there.
Old County Road.
Yeah. It was almost as though you was going up to the dam, and then you turn to your left and it would be right there. So.
When did it come to the village?
Probably in the 70s, is it?
Were you still working as the assistant?
No, I wasn't working in, I might have filled in a couple of times, but no, they had, who was the town clerk when they moved into town? But no, I wasn't town clerk, only when it was up there, when Doc Kimball had it. I wasn't full-time, I was only an assistant, so. But no, that was one thing that I never thought, how in the world would anybody ever do that? So, yeah.
Did you know Jeannie Powers?
Oh, of course we knew Junie Powers.
And
And
did
his
you?
father and her father and mother, they used to live right over there.
And they had the town office in their house for a while. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Before Doc Kimball had it, that's where it used to be, was down there, and
Her parents.
yeah, because her parents had it, so, oh yes.
Did you help her with any of her historical research?
No, I haven't been asked to do much about that, so, but I've got some of the things in my mind, but about things that used to be, but, so, but whether it's what they really need, I don't know, but I know that Dean Wilson used to be one of the officers, and Locke Matthews used to be, and some of the different ones from other parts of town, so well, I knew, and now they aren't there no more. That's what makes it so sad. So,
Miss your friends and.
yeah.
Do you remember gathering with all of those people for town meeting? When it was at the Congregational Church, when town meeting was still at the
Downstairs?
church?
Oh yes, and elections.
Okay.
Oh, town meeting was always downstairs in the church. And they used to have a little bathroom, no, voting booths up in the corner. And then they didn't have that bench across there, because that's where
Okay.
the town clerk used to sit, was down on, beside of that.
Okay.
And they had, no, that's where they used to have town meeting, and
I realized, I
Elections.
always assumed that town meeting was upstairs in the
No.
sanctuary, but it
oh
was.
no, because that's a religious place.
Okay, so town
As
meeting
I
would be held
understand it.
downstairs. Okay.
So, no, they had the benches and things downstairs, and they used to have a stove down there, 2 of them down here and 2 of them up there, so that they could have a little fire and then a little stove, so because February was, or March was usually kind of cool, so they had the 2. So, no, that's, a lot of changes have been made. So,
And would town meeting last all day? Would you come in the morning and then have like a
Into the
potluck
afternoon.
lunch, kind of break for lunch,
Yeah.
and then meet again in the afternoon?
yeah, because quite often the school business was after lunch.
Okay.
But not necessarily if the town meeting was all over, but that's what it used to be, is the school would be after lunch, so. No, it was, things have changed, so.
Did you work on the elections?
Did I work on the elections?
Yeah, when you were assistant town
Sometimes I
clerk?
would take and help to count ballots and things, but as far as any more than that, no. No, I didn't run for any election.
And how long did you work with Dottie Kimball as the assistant town clerk?
Oh, probably 8 years,
Okay.
8 or 10 years, I can't remember now just how many, because it was, I know quite a few years, but I didn't work up there that much because, as I say, it was just when she was gone
Okay.
for her. But she was very nice. And I learned how to list the deeds and things, put them in the books, and
Right.
I didn't do them before because I was never, and that was what surprised me, was because I was never allowed to graduate from high school, so I never thought I would be able to get a job other than cleaning house and things. But Doc Kimball says, you come right up here and I will show you.
Right.
And the town did not say no, so I was thankful she took me up there and taught me. So, but now, the way they got things down there now, you don't type the deeds in the deed books now. You take and just put them in a thing and then it automatically comes out. I don't know what they do, but so.
Now, you mentioned that you knew Ed Bates. As a matter of fact, you said Ed Bates was your boss at one point.
Yeah, when I worked at Waterford Springs.
And that would have been in the mid-1960s or?
60s or 70s.
Yeah. And worked in what capacity?
Oh, I helped clean houses. I cleaned Bates' house and Pratt's house and down there to the, where they have programs.
Or the
and
clubhouse?
The clubhouse.
The guest house?
And I used to clean houses for a lot of different people with it. So, if it hadn't been for Ed and Yolande, I wouldn't have Pratt's. I wouldn't have. We would still be trying to find some money to pay for some bread and butter. So, because Joe didn't have much money coming in, so. But we lived through it. That's the way I feel. We did the best we could, and we had 5 kids, and we had to feed them, and we did the best we could. So far, none of them have complained. So
And that's a good thing.
yes, yeah.
Which Joe was the bus driver?
Which Joe was the bus driver?
Yeah,
my
wasn't-
husband. Christine is my daughter is the bus driver now, up in Lunenburg and Concord and don't ask me what other town, Lindenville. She drives school bus for all over. So, but I think she said this is her last week. I think she retires this week. Doesn't seem as though she's able to be old enough to, but I think she said this week is the last week that she's going to be driving school bus. So, our kids are growing too fast.
Now, I've heard Barbara Dowse and some of the others talk about how Route 18 used to be a lot curvier than it is now. It used to be a little more windy.
Mm-hmm.
And is that, you remember that too?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wasn't as wide as it is, but it
Okay.
used to have the blacktop road, but
okay.
there didn't used to be so many buildings on it either.
Oh, okay.
And there was the building, as you went back into St. John Street, just at the top of the knoll, there used to be the post office and the filling station and the store. But coming from there back this way, there was only the big farmhouse right at the other end of the little brook. And then there was that house that you see in the front here. That's where Bob Dowse and them lived.
Right.
And there was one more farmhouse just before, a big farmhouse, before you get to the bridge down there.
Right.
The rest of them are all
Okay.
come out since then.
Okay.
Aldrich's, they built their house, and the house this side of Aldrich's, and the ones across the road, and the one,
Yep.
they're all new.
Yeah. Now,
Down this road, that house down back there, and that next one there, most of them on this road have been old. But,
Right. And would you go up to watch the Moore Dam being built? Did you go up to the construction site ever, or?
we was up there a couple of times, but we weren't allowed. I wasn't allowed to be anywhere near anything like that. But so no, we didn't spend much time up there. But we did. Well, one time, I'll take that back. One time, Mrs. Davies, driver, she took me for, no, it was her, Aunt May Fitchett's son, took me for a ride, and we went up, and we went as though we was going to the dam. We went down this nice long road, and there was a church, there was a store, a library, a store, a post office. Back this way there was a cemetery that was being brought up to this corner. But as we kept on with that road, we didn't stop. I would like to have gone into the church, but we didn't get stopped. We went right straight through, down, back up that hill, and came out over by Marvel.
And so what was that little village?
That was Upper Waterford.
Okay, and what happened to Upper Waterford?
They tore it all down, and it's a dam.
Right, so it ended up flooded behind the dam?
It's underneath.
Yep, under the water.
Yeah, all underwater. That's why they brought all of the cemetery up here.
Mhm.
So, and as I understand it, the lamp, isn't it? The cross. It's in East St. Johnsbury.
Oh,
Was under the water up there.
so some of the different church furnishings, you're right, from Upper Waterford, some things ended up at the third church in East St. Johnsbury.
That organ that was played on Sunday.
The pump organ and the old pulpit are up at Third Church, and then some things came over here to Lower Waterford.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
I don't remember what came to this one, but I do know they said that it was that organ and something else. So.
Right.
No, I'm just very pleased that John and Vida took me for a ride one day, and we went over and they showed me where the cemetery used to be down.
Right.
And they said, you could go, keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wishing they would stop so I could see, at least in the store or something, but they wasn't using it. But
Was the dam already built that day you went down that
No.
road?
Oh, no,
Okay,
no,
because
no.
sometimes when the water's really low, you can see the old village.
yeah, oh no,
So-
no, you can't.
Okay.
They blocked that road off
Okay.
long before
Okay. All
so
right.
that nobody could go down because the dam would be right on top of them.
Okay.
So
And the road you came out on then, up by Marvel's, that would be Old Lawrence Road.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
so one of the roads up on the hill up
Up on the
there. So.
Now, when you and Joe were young, and maybe living at the farmhouse or when the Blue House here
Yeah.
was new, would you walk to church or did you take the car?
No,
or?
he had the car.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, he had a car, so.
Okay.
So. But I used to like to take walks down here to the Bullocks and see some of them because there was, especially Grammy Bullock and Grandpa Bullock, and so. And even today, I don't see him now, but anyway, they got a doggy up there. And that doggy comes down, goes all the way around the house, at least once a day. Right, Norma?
What?
That doggy goes around the house down here at least once a day. And when he comes down with the kids, he comes down and he makes sure the kids are coming where they're supposed to. And he comes in and he'll just get right down on his knees and with his chin up, waiting for the pat. And after you've patted him a bit, Mom, I got some cookies for him. That was the last time that they was held, but don't usually that doggy comes down at least once a day to check on us to make sure we're all okay. So they say you don't have to have high class people, but at least we know we've been watched.
It was a real community.
We do, yeah.
So I wanted to backtrack a little bit. So did Big Joe, Little Joe's
Joe
father,
Senior.
did Joe Senior grow up here in
Yes.
Waterford?
Yes,
Okay.
up in, as I understand it, it was, now I can't remember whether it was down here or whether it was, I want to say, when you go back towards St. Johnsbury, you take that first right and
Up on Mad Brook?
underneath the underpass,
Yep.
underneath, and there used to be a house
Okay.
right there, and that's where my husband was born, and
Okay.
that's where his folks lived before
Okay.
that. So
And did they have a farm there?
Yeah.
And then they bought the farm here on Lower Waterford
Yeah.
Road?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
because they wanted to enlarge, and so they got this one down here, and then after they did that, they did, the town, I guess, or the state did away with the house up there, because they were gonna put the interstate through there,
Okay,
so.
all right.
So that's why it is, a lot of things have changed in here, so. And just since then, that house way, way up on the tip top, that's a lawyer. So I don't know what he can see, what he watches, but, so, but other than that, that's a new building, but the rest of it is all still old-fashioned. So whether the buildings are all still old-fashioned or not, they changed some of them, but, so. But I know this one here, when Arthur Morrison came to his folks and asked him, why don't you take and give your son an acre of land? You've got 300 and some odd acres, I think it was. Give him 1 acre of land to build a house of his own instead of just 2 rooms out there. Well, what was they going to say? So they agreed. So when Arthur come up here and was helping Joe measure, he says, you go so many feet this way, so many feet this way. And he says, your folks will never know you got 1.5 acres. So that's when he built his blue house. It had to be blue because he was a Navy.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to be in the Navy, and his father
Okay.
pulled him out. He said, at least they can't take my navy blue house away from me. So, yeah.
Are there other memories that you really want to share with people? Like when
I
you think
don't
about
know.
people watching this video, maybe, is there anything you really want them to know about Lower Waterford or about your life here?
It's just a very special town for as far as I'm concerned. A lot of good memories and a lot of people that I've known, and they're still around, thank goodness. So, well, there was a few changes I would like to have made, but no, most of it is, I'm very glad that I'm still in Waterford.
Great.
That was the way the Sunday school was and
I
things.
just want to make sure we don't lose your microphone off the side of the table
That's a
there.
good idea.
This table, my husband built this table.
Oh,
That's why it's so,
that's wonderful.
Fantastic.
no, he may have not had much, but at least whatever you see here,
He built.
it was his work.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Now my cupboards and everything,
Aside from Donna's,
except for these chairs. These chairs was my grandfather's and grandmother's, and they was in the 90s when.
Oh boy.
fantastic.
Huh. So I did have one question I realized we didn't ask.
Oh, should I start the thing?
So your aunt, your Aunt May Fitchett.
Should I start?
So sure. When you came to work here with Mrs. Davies, your Aunt May was already working there, and you said she was your grandmother's sister.
Yeah.
So is that on your mom's side or on your dad's side? Do you remember?
I don't see Fitchett. Norma, which one was it?
What?
The Fitchetts. Was Grammy Fuller's sister?
Dad.
Grammy
on
Ford.
Dad's side.
Oh, so it was on dad's side. Okay, all right. Thank you, Carol.
No, I have to stop and think. I had so many of.